The silent arrival, the galaxy had seen many things. It had seen empires rise and fall. It had seen endless wars between species, fleets stretching across the stars and weapons that could burn planets. The Council of Races believed they had seen everything. But one quiet night in deep space, something appeared that none of them understood. It was not a fleet. It was not an armada. It was only one ship. The scanners of the Kalari outpost first detected it. At first, the officers thought it was a sensor glitch. The ship was moving with a steady course, without escort, without signal. The Kalari were a careful race, and they did not trust things they could not explain. Their commander leaned forward, staring at the display. "One ship?" he asked. That cannot be right, but the data did not lie. It was a single vessel, human in origin, entering neutral space. The Kalari sent a message to the Galactic Council at once. Within hours, the news had spread across the stars. One human ship had entered open space. That was all, and yet it was enough to make every empire pause. Aliens had always spoken about humans with caution. Some called them extinct, others called them a forgotten race. Many believed humans were primitive, weak, and scattered. But deep inside, there were whispers that Earth had always been different. Stories passed like shadows through the council halls. Stories of wars humans had fought on their homeworld, of victories that should have been impossible. Now the galaxy asked one question: why only one ship? On the trade station of Xenos, thousands gathered at viewing decks to see the image broadcast by long-range telescopes. The human vessel was not large. It was not painted with bright colors of war like the Draxian cruisers, nor was it covered with spines like the Seric dreadnoughts. It was plain, dark, and silent, but it carried a strange weight, as if the empty black around it belonged to the ship itself. The station's merchants laughed nervously. "One ship? Is this the strength of Earth?" They joked, but their voices carried unease. For in the void of space, silence could be more dangerous than war drums. The council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from 12 major species sat inside the chamber of glass and silver. The hall vibrated with voices. The Kalari envoy spoke first. "We demand to know the purpose of this vessel. It crosses our borders without escort, without message." The massive Draxian warlord slammed his clawed hand against the table. "It is arrogance. Humans send one ship to mock us. We should destroy it now before it spreads fear." The gentle Saren priestess shook her head. "No, it is too calm, too silent. Perhaps it is a message. Or perhaps it is bait," whispers filled the chamber. Every species had a different theory. Some believed humans had gone extinct long ago, and this was only a drifting relic. Others thought it was a test, a trap to see how the galaxy would react. One scientist, an old Ithari with pale skin, said in a quiet voice, "If humans send only one ship, then they believe one is enough. Think about that." The chamber went silent. Out in space, the lone human vessel continued to glide. No signals, no answers. Only silence. On the Seric homeworld, soldiers grew restless. They did not like silence. Armies were meant to march, to roar, to be seen. But this human ship did not roar. It simply watched. Some said it was alive. Others swore its hull shifted like breathing skin. Fear spread faster than truth, and still the question echoed, why only one? To calm their people, the council released a message to the public. It is only a single human craft. It cannot harm the galaxy. But in private, every ruler felt unease, for they all knew what history had whispered. Humans were never simple. Back on the Kalari outpost, the commander continued to watch the ship. He had seen battles before. He had seen fleets clash, ships burn, and planets fall. But never had he seen anything like this. The human vessel made no demands, yet the galaxy trembled. One of his officers turned and whispered, "Commander, why do I feel like it is not the ship that has arrived, but something much greater?" The commander gave no answer. He only stared into the screen where the human ship drifted like a shadow across the stars. Hours turned into days. Still, the ship did not move closer. Still, no message was sent. The galaxy waited. Fear grew. Suspicion spread. And yet the ship remained silent and patient, like a hunter waiting for its prey to reveal itself. The galaxy thought it had seen everything, but it had never seen humans appear this way. The silent arrival had only begun. Questions and fears, the galaxy had no answers. The single human ship stayed silent, and because of that silence, fear began to grow louder. On every world, people asked the same question. Why only one? In the floating cities of the Kalari Seas, children whispered that the ship was a ghost. Traders in the desert markets of the Draxian worlds claimed it was a weapon disguised as a ship. In the cold towers of the Athari, scholars debated for hours, but even they found nothing in their endless records. No one could understand. The Galactic Council gathered again. The chamber was filled with tension. Representatives stared at one another with heavy eyes, their voices sharper than before. The Draxian warlord was first to speak. His scaled chest rose as he growled, "We are wasting time. One ship is an insult. If humans want to frighten us, then let us burn their vessel and remind them of their weakness." The Sarek ambassador hissed softly, her words smooth but cold. "You think it is weakness? No, warlord. Look deeper. If it were weakness, why show themselves at all? Why here, why now? Humans choose their moves carefully." The Kalari envoy raised his hand, fins trembling with unease. "And what if it is not a move at all? What if this is all that is left of them? One ship drifting, carrying the bones of a dead species?" Laughter echoed from the upper seats, but it was nervous laughter. Many wanted to believe that theory. It was easier to accept that humans were gone, nothing more than shadows. But deep down, none of them truly believed it. The Athari scientist, old and frail but wise, finally spoke. His voice was quiet, yet it carried through the hall. "I will remind you all of something. Centuries ago, when humans fought only among themselves, they had weapons that shook the earth. They destroyed each other's cities and poisoned their own skies, yet they survived. A species that survives its own destruction cannot be simple. If they send only one ship, it is because one ship is enough." The hall fell silent. His words struck deep. Outside the chamber, news spread like fire. Civilian channels carried endless debates. Some called the humans arrogant. Some called them desperate. Others feared that the single ship was a message, that humans did not fight with numbers, but with something else, something no one in the galaxy could match. On the moon of Serath, soldiers trained harder than ever, as if the human ship were already above their skies. In the frozen world of Ventra, miners refused to go to work, saying the silence of the ship was a bad omen. Fear did not need proof. Fear lived in the imagination, and the humans had given the galaxy's imagination something to feed on. In secret, a plan began to form. The council could not sit forever in doubt. They decided to send a small fleet to approach the human vessel. Not an attack, at least not at first, a test, a way to measure the truth. The Kalari commander who first reported the ship was chosen to lead the observation. 10 ships were sent with him. 10 against 1. It seemed safe. It seemed logical. As their fleet moved closer, the crew whispered among themselves. Some believed they would find only an empty hull. Some believed the ship would flee. Others believed they would never return. When the fleet reached the edge of human range, they sent a signal. "Identify yourselves. State your purpose." No answer. They tried again. Stronger, louder, more demanding. Still silence. Then something strange happened. Not an attack, not a weapon, but a sound. A low, deep vibration spread through their ships. It was not on any frequency they knew. It felt less like a sound and more like a presence, as if the human ship were breathing into the void. The crews shivered. The commanders felt their hearts pound. "What is this?" one officer cried. "Is it language? Is it a weapon?" The Kalari commander's voice shook. "It is a warning." But the council refused to believe warnings. Back in the chamber, leaders argued again. Some demanded destruction. Others demanded retreat, but no one had proof. The ship still did nothing, and yet in every shadow, doubt grew. Every ruler asked themselves the same thought, but dared not speak it aloud. If one human ship could make us afraid without firing a single weapon, what would happen if they had more? The galaxy had never been so uncertain. The silent arrival was no longer just an event. It was a question that haunted every mind, and questions left unanswered can be more dangerous than war. The first clash, the council could not wait any longer. The human ship had remained in silence for too many days. It had answered no signals, shown no weakness, and given no explanation. To the rulers of the galaxy, that silence was more dangerous than a fleet of warships. The decision was made in secret. A force of 50 vessels chosen from the strongest empires would surround the human craft. They called it a demonstration, They told the public it was only a test, a simple inspection. But in truth, it was an act of fear. The fleet gathered in the shadow of a dead star. Ships of every shape glimmered in the dark. The clawed cruisers of the Draxian, the needle-like destroyers of the Sarek, the wide-armed carriers of the Kalari. Together, they formed a wall of firepower unmatched in the galaxy. 50 against 1. The human vessel drifted calmly before them. No movement. No shields raised. It was like a stone in a river, still while the current roared around it. The commanders gave their order. Send warning shots. Energy beams cut through the dark, slamming into empty space beside the human ship. Stars seemed to flash with every strike. The alien crews waited for a response, but the ship did not move. The Sarek captain hissed, his voice filled with pride. See? Empty. A dead relic. But before he could speak again, the lights inside his ship flickered. The air grew heavy. His crew screamed as their sensors filled with static. Across the fleet, the same chaos spread. One by one, ships lost power. Not destroyed, simply silent, as if an unseen hand had pressed against their throats. Engines froze, weapons died, and only darkness filled their screens. The Kalari commander shouted, "What is happening?" "Report." But no one could explain. The human ship had not fired a single weapon, and yet 50 vessels floated helpless in the void. Then, for the first time, the human ship moved. Not fast, not violent. Slowly, with weight and purpose, it turned. Its hull reflected no light, but as it shifted, the alien crew swore it was watching them. A single voice filled their channels. Calm. Human. You wanted to see us. The words carried no anger, no threat. And yet they struck harder than any weapon. To hear a human voice after centuries of silence was like hearing the whisper of a ghost. The Draxian warlord roared in defiance, ordering his ship to fire. But his command was useless. His weapons did not respond. His crew shouted in panic as their ship trembled. And then, without warning, the vessel simply vanished from all screens. No explosion, no debris. It was as if the ship had never existed. Fear spread through the fleet like fire. The remaining commanders begged for retreat, but they could not move. Their ships were held still by an invisible force caught like insects in a web. The human voice spoke again, low and steady. This is not war. This is a reminder. And just as suddenly as it began, the power returned. Engines hummed, weapons flickered back to life, and the alien crews gasped in relief. But the Draxian ship was gone, erased from the stars. The 50 vessels fled without orders. Pride was broken, courage shattered. They had seen enough. Back in the council chambers, chaos erupted. News of the vanished ship could not be hidden. Whole planets whispered of it. Markets crashed, soldiers deserted, and priests declared the return of an ancient terror. The leaders shouted over one another, each trying to explain what had happened. Some said it was forbidden technology. Others said it was sorcery. None wanted to admit the truth. Only the HFY scientists spoke calmly. One ship held 50. One ship erased one of the galaxy's strongest vessels. This is not technology alone. This is something else. The others looked at him with dread. What do you mean? The Sarek ambassador hissed. The scientist's pale eyes glimmered in the chamber's light. I mean what I said in this hall before. If humans send only one ship, then one ship is enough. No one argued with him this time. Outside, the human vessel still floated silently in the void, unbroken, untouched, watching, waiting. The galaxy had fired its first shot. The humans had answered without firing at all. The silent arrival was no longer a question. It was the beginning of something far greater, something the galaxy was not ready to face. The human secret. The galaxy could not forget what it had seen. One human ship had faced 50, and 50 had fallen silent. One had vanished completely, no debris, no trail, nothing. And still the human vessel spoke no more. It drifted in the void, calm, patient, like a predator that had already chosen its prey. The Galactic Council met again, but this time their voices were not full of pride. They were full of fear. The Draxian throne world demanded vengeance. Their warlord had been erased, and their fleets wanted blood. But none dared to send another attack. The Sarek priest declared the ship a curse, a vessel of spirits, and warned that more blood would only bring more death. The Kalari begged for peace, believing the humans were testing the galaxy. But the HFY scientist was silent. He stared at the star map, at the lonely dot where the human ship waited. He whispered to himself, "They are showing us a truth we are not ready for." Meanwhile, far from the council, Others tried to find answers in their own way. A band of Sarek spies took a hidden craft and approached the human ship. They believed if they could slip close enough, they would uncover its secrets. Their vessel was cloaked, invisible to most sensors. They moved in silence, creeping near the black hull. At first, nothing happened. The ship did not move. It did not react. The spies grew bold. They scanned the hull. What they saw broke their courage. The human vessel was not metal alone. It was not built as other ships were. Its surface shifted under their scans as if it were alive. Layers of strange matter pulsed like muscle, and signals ran through it like veins of light. Their instruments screamed with readings they could not understand. The more they scanned, the more they felt the ship was not a machine. It was a living thing. One spy gasped, It breathes." Then a sound filled their ears. Not through the comms, not through speakers, but inside their minds. A voice, human yet not human. "You should not look," the Sarek crew screamed. Their ship jolted. Lights went dark. And then, just as suddenly, they were drifting in empty space far from the human vessel. Their cloak was gone, their engines broken. They had been thrown aside like dust. They survived, but they carried with them the terror of what they had seen. Their report shook the council. The human ship was not a simple craft. It was something else. Whispers began. A living ship, built with flesh and steel, powered not only by machines but by human minds. Some said it contained thousands of souls bound together into one will. Others said it was Earth itself, broken into pieces and remade as weapons. The Athari scientist finally spoke to the council. This is what they have done. They learned long ago that fleets and numbers do not matter. They learned that one ship, if it holds all of humanity, is enough. You call it a ship. I call it a city. Perhaps a world, the Sarek hissed. Impossible. No vessel can carry a world. The Athari shook his head. Not a world of land. A world of minds. A vessel of thought. A city of souls. The chamber fell silent. Even the most arrogant rulers had no words. Outside, the human ship continued its slow journey. For the first time, it changed direction. It was no longer drifting. It was moving toward the heart of the galaxy. On every world, fear grew deeper. Children asked their parents what would happen if more ships came. Soldiers sharpened their weapons but felt no courage. Priests filled temples with prayers. But the truth was simple. No weapon, no prayer, no fleet could prepare them for what was coming, because the secret was out. The galaxy now understood. Humans had not disappeared. They had not gone extinct. They had not grown weak. They had been building something greater than fleets, greater than empires. They had built themselves into a single unstoppable force. The silent arrival was no longer only silence. It was the shadow of a storm. The galaxy trembles. The galaxy had always believed power came from numbers. Great fleets, endless armies, worlds under control. But one human ship had broken that belief. It drifted no longer. Now it moved with purpose. Its black hull cut through the stars like a shadow, heading straight for the heart of the galaxy, the Council's capital world. Panic spread before it even arrived. Entire colonies refused to trade. Civilian ships locked themselves inside safe orbits. Armies mobilized, but their leaders spoke with trembling voices. Priests declared the end of days. And in every market, in every home, the question returned like a curse: if one ship is this strong, how many more are waiting? The council chamber was louder than ever. Rulers shouted over one another, some demanding an attack, others demanding surrender. None trusted the other, but all feared the same thing. The Draxian heir slammed his claws against the table. "We cannot allow this ship to reach our capital. If it enters orbit, it will break the spirit of every race." The Sarek ambassador's voice trembled. "Do you think spirit is not already broken? Their silence has done what no war could. Every soldier who looks at that ship already knows the truth." "We are prey," the Kalari envoy whispered. "Maybe they are not here for war. Maybe they only wish to remind us who they are." The Athari scientist raised his head slowly. His eyes were tired but steady. "You still do not understand. This is not about ships. This is not about war. Humans do not measure power as we do. They came with one because one is enough. No one had an answer to that." Outside, the human vessel entered orbit above the capital world. Millions watched from below, faces turned upward to the dark sky. The ship did not fire. It did not destroy. It only waited, and then the message came. Every screen, every device, every channel lit with the same image. A human face, calm and expressionless, filled the air. The voice was deep, steady, carrying across languages without need of translation. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to rule. We are here to remind you. Earth is not weak. Humanity is not forgotten. Do not mistake our silence for absence. The galaxy trembled. On the Sarek homeworld, soldiers dropped their weapons. On the Draxian throne world, the heir who had demanded war fell silent, unable to speak. On Ventra's frozen mines, workers fell to their knees in awe. The message continued. One ship is enough to show you who we are. But never forget, behind one there can be more. Do not force us to prove it. The screen went dark. Silence returned. For hours no one moved. The human ship remained above the capital, like a dark moon that did not belong. Every fleet that had once sworn loyalty to the Council now waited, unsure if loyalty meant survival or death. At last, the ship turned. Without haste, without fear, it left orbit and vanished into deep space. No one tried to stop it. No one dared. The galaxy was left broken in spirit. Some called it a warning. Some called it a declaration. But all understood one thing. Humans had changed the order of the stars. For centuries, the galaxy had ruled itself with pride and numbers. But now every ruler went to sleep with the same thought burning in their mind. If one ship could do this, what would happen if the humans sent 2, or 10, or an entire fleet? The galaxy trembled not because of war, but because of a shadow of power that needed no battle to prove itself. The silent arrival was over, but its echo would haunt the stars for generations.